Hello everyone, hope you are all doing well. I am Vidyashree. This is part 3 video on learners characteristics from Teaching Aptitude, paper 1 for UGC-NET and KSET examinations. In this part of video, I am going to discuss in detail about the characteristics of adult learners. And also I'll be giving a comparative study between the characteristics of adolescent learners and adult learners. Before watching this video, I request you all to watch the previous parts where I have discussed about the different types of learners and the characteristics of adolescent learners. To watch those videos, link is provided to you in the description box below this video. Please go through those two videos and come back to watch part 3 video on learners characteristics. Without wasting time, I'll directly start the video. Learners who fall in the age group of 15 to 35 years are called as adult learners. So these adult learners are mature learners who are engaged in the learning process. Moving on to the characteristics of these adult learners, they are autonomous and self-directed. These adult learners are self-directed, means based on their learning goals, they direct themselves to the learning process and they are autonomous. So the role of teacher here is just to help them or assist them in their learning process. So teacher acts as a facilitator with respect to the learning process of adult learners. Learning process of these adult learners depends on their life experience and knowledge. Life experiences here means it can be their work experiences or their behavior or dealing with respect to family affairs and societal roles. So this will influence the learning process of adult learners. Also, they have their life experiences which can be used as a resource in their learning process. These adult learners are goal-oriented, means they involve themselves in the learning process to achieve certain goals. They are problem-centered, means they focus on the problem and find the solution. These learners demand for self-respect. Learners' existing skills and life experiences have to be recognized and respected. These adult learners are resistant to change, means they do not accept the change that they need to inculcate as a result of learning process. See, learning brings certain changes in the attitudes and actions of adults which are not welcomed by them. So they are not going to welcome the changes that they gain as a result of these learning process. It's because they feel these changes might not bring the desired result that they are expecting. They are relevance oriented, means these adult learners always assess how their learning is relevant to their life. They are practical oriented. It means that they want to apply their newly acquired skills immediately in their day-to-day life. Adult learners are more pragmatic. It's because they are motivated to learn new ideas and informations which is immediately applicable to their situation and needs. As these learners are practical oriented, it is important for their facilitator to design the content of their learning process in such a way that they can apply those learned techniques in their day-to-day life. Adults have more diversity. Because of their age and experience that they have, these adults always vary from one another in the area of their learning. This difference and variety can be used as a good resource for learning. Now here let's have a comparative study between the characteristics of adolescent learners and adult learners. Adolescent learners are dependent on teacher for their learning process, whereas adult learners are self-motivated and self-directed towards the learning process. Speaking about the learner's experience and how their learning experiences help in the learning process, the adolescent learner has little experience and it has to be built on more than used as resource. Here, the experience of instructor is most influential with respect to the learning process of adolescent learner. Speaking about adult learners with respect to their experiences, so these learners have tremendous amount of life experience. They are resources for one another. So it's because they have variety of life experiences, they are different from one another, so that can be used as a resource for learning. So their experience becomes a source of self identity. Now speaking about the orientation to learning with respect to adolescent learners as well as adult learners. With respect to adolescent learner, learning is a process of acquiring prescribed subject matter. The content units are sequenced according to the logic of the subject matter. With respect to adult learners, learning must have relevance to real life tasks. Learning is organized around life or work situations rather than subject matter units. Adolescent learners are primarily motivated by external rewards and punishment, competition for grades, and consequences of failure. With respect to adult learners, their motivation is by internal incentives such as recognition, better quality of life, self confidence, and self actualization. Need to know in order to perform more effectively in some aspect of one's life is important with respect to the adult learner. Moving on to the demand of learning with respect to adolescent learners, the learner must balance life responsibilities with the demand of learning. With respect to adult learners, learners can devote more time to the demands of learning because of responsibilities that they have. Next, speaking about how long a learner can retain their learning. With respect to adolescent learner, learning is self-initiated. So it is as a result of this self-initiation, it tends to last for a long time. With respect to adult learner, learning is compulsory. So they are studying for compensation. That might be because of their self-compensation, and they tend to forget the learning very shortly. Speaking about the nature of adolescent learners, they are tensed and low trust, whereas adult learners are relaxed and trusting. They are formal, cold, and aloof, whereas adult learners are mutually respectful. Adolescent learners are authority oriented, adult learners are informal and warm. Adolescent learners are competitive and judgmental. Adult learners are collaborative and supportive. Needs of adolescent learners can be diagnosed primarily by teaching system and teacher, whereas the needs of adult learners can be mutually assessed by learner and facilitator. Curriculum for adolescent learners are designed primarily by teaching system and teacher, whereas with respect to adult learners, it's mutually by the learner and facilitator. Objectives of learning are set by teaching system, and these objectives are predetermined and inflexible with respect to adolescent learners, whereas the objectives of learning is set by mutual negotiation between the learner and facilitated with respect to the adult learners, and these objectives are flexible. According to the needs of adult learner, objectives of learning process can be changed. Designing of learning plans. Teachers' content plans the fixed course syllabus and logical sequence is followed while designing the learning plans with respect to adolescent learners. Now, with respect to adult learners, learning contracts, learning projects, and they are sequenced by readiness. To aid the learning process of adolescent learner, passive teaching methods are used, whereas with respect to adult learners, active training methods are used. Teacher controls the timing and pace of learning with respect to adolescent learners, whereas learners influence the timing and pace of learners with respect to the adult learners. Now coming to the evaluation with respect to the learning process of adolescent learners, evaluation is done by teacher, and the evaluation procedure is norm referenced with grades. Evaluation of the learning process of adult learners is done by learner collected evidences validated by peers, facilitators, and experiences. Their valuation is criterion referenced. I'll stop this video here. In this video, I have discussed about the characteristics of adult learners, and I have given a comparative study between the characteristics of adolescent learners and adult learners. In the next part of the video, I will be discussing about the individual differences of learners. In the previous parts of the videos related to learners' characteristics, I have discussed in detail about different types of learners and the characteristics of adolescent learners. To have more understanding about these concepts, please watch the videos. Link is provided to you in the description box below this video. I'll meet you in the next video where we are going to learn about individual differences of learners. Thank you for watching. Stay connected, keep learning, take care, bye-bye.